Hi, this is John Lee for the DIY Sprinkler Book. When figuring out just how many stations you're going to need to properly irrigate your yard, it's helpful to take a pen to paper or use a software program and create a rough facsimile of your yard and then figure out what you're going to need to do station by station. A station is merely a group of sprinkler heads that will be operating off of the same valve, creating a sort of circuit. Besides just making sure you have coverage over your entire yard, you'll also want to try, wherever possible, to group stations based on the approximate watering need of the grass or plants that are adjacent to each other. That way, when you program the timer and give a station, say, 6 minutes, for example, you don't end up with properly irrigated lawn and moldy plants nearby. Now, there's nothing wrong with digging out your trenches so that the PVC piping for more than one station is contained inside, providing that trench is wide enough so that the pipes aren't stacked on top of each other where they would be prone to breakage. By the same token, you also want to avoid taking shortcuts on the trenching to the extent that things aren't routed properly. In this illustration, you can see the location of where the valves, grouped into a manifold, reside. Using photo impact, which is really just a primitive relative of Photoshop, I've included the basic features of this yard, which include a patio, lawn, and 2 flower beds that are actually perpendicular to each other. You could just as easily do this manually with a pen and paper, or perhaps some graph paper, just so that you can more easily keep your scaling consistent by assigning a distance value in feet to each of the squares. In this illustration, you can see a station improperly routed. Now, a little bit of labor was saved by not routing the pipes properly, but by the same token, when the water flow reaches that last sprinkler in the sequence, the water flow is going to be just a fraction of the volume available to the first sprinkler reaches. Now, this will likely result in overly saturated ground near where the first sprinkler is, and brown spots or dry spots where that last is located. Here we see a sequence of all 5 stations being added one by one so that the entire yard is getting coverage. Station 1 covers the western portion of the lawn. Station 2 covers the eastern portion. Station 3, the flower bed that sits next to the house. Station 4, the flower bed perpendicular to the house. And Station 5, a vegetable garden. If you look at this illustration for Station 5, it may be a little bit confusing, but the end location of the entire station is in one place. But if you notice from the photo, that's just because this one termination point, which is made up of a riser and a 4-inlet adapter, covers this entire portion. So, in the process, we're making sure the irrigation needs of each individual part of the yard are being met. For example, while it might be first impulse to group both flower beds together onto one station, bear in mind that there is one that faces south and gets a lot of sun, and another faces west and gets far less sun until later in the day. By keeping this separated, it's much easier to make sure that neither area is overly dry or overly saturated. For more tips like this and many others on installing an automatic sprinkler system, check out the DIY Sprinkler Book. It's on sale now at DIYSprinklerbook.com.